process should look like? Generally speaking, when you as a family have someone come in as a consultant to do a functional behavior assessment and start a PBS approach, it should start with identifying problems and goals. So really, mom, dad, what are your problems? What's the problem behavior child engages in? Or what are the activities that are really difficult for you? What are your goals for your child? What do you want your child to be able to do? And then from that, gathering information. So as a consultant, I'm going to gather a bunch of information in terms of assessment. I'm going to do some interviews. I'm going to ask questions. I'm going to watch the kid. I'm going to develop some hypotheses about that. I'm going to collect some data to determine whether or not my hypotheses are correct. You don't want to pay me to build a PBS plan based on a faulty hypothesis, right? You don't have like money just bucket loads sitting there, right? No. So you've got a limited amount of funds and you want to make sure that you're getting the most for the funds that you have. So you want to make sure that you're not paying me to implement a plan that's just based on kind of a guess. You want me to have some data that demonstrates I do, in fact, know what the problem is and what's going on, right? So data will confirm my hypotheses, and then from that I can design a PBS plan. And when I'm designing that plan, I should be designing that plan in collaboration with you. So I should be coming with my bucket loads of strategies, right? Based on the problem, here are 5 or 6 things that we could do. Let's talk about those things, and you tell me which you think would work well for you. Which of these are absolutely not doable, right? Let's come up together with a selection of strategies that are correct from a technical perspective, right? From a behavior analytic perspective, I come in with, here are the things that I know are effective to address the problem, but you know your family and your daily life. So you have the list of, here are things that work for us, and so from both of our lists, we have to come up with something that matches from both sides, right? From a behavior analytic point, they're going to be effective, but from a family doability point, they're going to be doable. Has to be both. Otherwise, either the plan won't work or you won't do it, okay? Then we're going to implement the PBS plan, and when we implement the plan, that does not mean I give you a written document, say good luck with that, and leave. That's not implementation. Implementation means that I, as the consultant, spend time with you in those actual situations that are problematic, and I support you in terms of learning how to implement the plan. So typically, I will meet with families beforehand without the kid present, and we read through the entire plan. We'll role play the plan, right? I'll pretend to be the kid, you implement the strategies, you pretend to be the kid, I'll implement, right? It feels a little weird, but it gives you an opportunity to kind of get a feel for the strategies without your child, who is likely going to behave inappropriately, right? You have a little bit more control over the situation, while you kind of get a sense of what are these strategies and how would I implement them. And then I come in and I implement the strategies with your child, with you beside me watching. And then we kind of implement side by side, but I have you do more and more of the work, and I sort of stand by and coach and encourage. And then I have you implement on your own, and we talk about it after, right? But I provide an awful lot of support to you as you're learning how to do this, because just handing you a document and saying, here, go do these things, is that going to work for you? Yeah. Right? Because this is hard. This is hard work. Right? It's not easy, right? It's not complicated often, but it is work. It's hard work, and you need a bit of practice and you need a bit of support. And then once the plan is in place and it's working well, we monitor long term. We want to make sure that things are continuing to be effective, and if they're not, then I want to hear from you. And as a consultant, I start to teach you how to look at the behavior, and when a plan that has been working isn't working, how to kind of look and think, well, what might be wrong here, and what kinds of things might I be able to change? So at the end of the day, I've worked with families where, after a couple of years of support around 2 or 3 or 4 different problematic routines, the parents are at a place where they can solve their own. And I'll get the phone call that says, so I was having a problem with toothbrushing, and I decided to make my own plan. I kind of, used the same things that we used for what other problem we solved, and it worked. right? And they phone me and tell me this, and I go, fantastic, you don't need me anymore, right? Call me if there's a problem, but carry on. And that's essentially the goal here. My goal is for you guys as parents to be able to solve your own problems if they pop up, that you know what to do. You guys should be empowered to do this, right? Again, it's work, but it's not rocket science, okay? It does take a village. This is not a one-person job. It's not a two-person job. This really is about good collaboration. The plans that are most effective are those where there's a collaborative team behind it. The plans that are least effective are those that don't have a good collaboration between professionals and those implementing the plan. Right? So parents and family members are important, your behavior consultant or your behavior analyst are important members of the team, and then there are often other professionals that are involved that may be participating in some of those things where problem behavior occurs. They need to be involved as well. Right? So the better the collaboration, typically the better the outcomes. Okay? All right, so that's all of the groundwork stuff. Now we actually get to go into the fun stuff. What does this look like?